it's Kaz here, Cats on Camera, and today I'm doing my November wrap up. So in November I read 8 things and every single one of them were fantasy or sci-fi, which is pretty cool. So first up I read The Blood of the Mantis by Adrian Tchaikovsky. If you saw my October wrap up you would have seen that I mentioned this because I read most of it in October but I finished it at the beginning of November. This is the, book 3 in the Shadows of the Apt series, which is a 10-book series. Fantasy, steampunk, powers based on insects. So for example, all the Ant-Kindred can all telepathically speak to each other, and then all the Wasp-Kindred and the Fly-Kindred have wings and can fly. Wasps can shoot stings out of their hands. Moth-Kindred can see in the dark really well, and yeah, it's just a really cool concept, really cool series. This definitely got me into the series more. The first book took me a little bit of getting into because the writing wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. Basically, the phrase "even as" was used about 27,000 times, and it got to me. But it doesn't happen so often in these books, so there must have been a better editor as the series went on, and this one got me really excited for the rest of the series. Next I read The School for Good and Evil, A World Without Princes by Soman Chinani. To be fair, when I read the first book I didn't love it, but this one was 49p at Cash Converter, so I thought I might as well grab it and check it out and read it. Again, didn't love it. It's an easy read, it's like middle grade. As you can guess from the title, there's a school for good and a school for evil, and then we follow 2 characters. And the one who all her life has thought she was good was sent to the bad school, and then the person that's like meant to be bad goes to the good school. That's pretty much the basis of the first book, and this one we carry on from there and stuff happens. Not amazing, but acceptable. I didn't hate it, didn't love it. I don't really have any plans to pick up the third book because there's 3, I think. I don't think there's any more, but this one pretty much ends on something that you could just leave it at that, so I probably am. If I find it for like 50p I'll probably pick it up, but I will not go out of my way to buy the third one. Next I finally finished Death Note. This is Death Note volume 12. Everything kicked off, everything came to a head, everything finished, and it was really cool. I didn't know how this finished, which is awesome because it's been around for ages, so it feels like something you could have just known, just of spoilers of the world. And yeah, if you haven't read Death Note already, check it out because it's really good and intricate, and all the characters are about 20 times more intelligent than any other character in any Western book. That's facts. Next I read Salute the Dark, which is book 4 of the Shadows of the Apt series. So I had book 3, 4 and 5 on my books to read in 2018, so for some reason I left them for ages, and then I thought, oh crap, I have some quite thick books to read and it's the end of the year. So yes, hopefully if I manage to finish it, look forward to seeing me wrap up book 5 in my December wrap up. So yeah, again, stuff happens, stuff kicks off, fantasy, steampunk. More on the steampunk side of things actually. It's really cool because in here there's kindreds that are apt and some that are inapt, which makes sense because it's called Shadows of the Apt. And basically a group of the kindreds, sort of beetles, wasps, ants, that sort of thing, can use technology, they can use weapons. There's a lot of weaponry in here because there's a big war kicking off, and buildings and stuff. And then you have the inapt, who are more of an ancient race that may or may not be a bit magical rather than building stuff technologically, and they can't do anything. They can't use these weapons, they can't even open a lock on or undo a door. So it's really cool to see them kind of mishmash together. And also a lot of people die in this book, so if you don't like your fantasies where there's massive war and all the characters are fine, read this because they're not. This is book 4 of a 10-book series and like half the characters are dead. Next up I read Obscura Burn by Suzanne van Ruyen. This is sort of like a parallel worlds type of deal. Something happened, an event happened with fire involved, and our main character is kind of flipping between these 2 worlds. One of the worlds, his boyfriend was burnt to death and his best friend is alive and he's sleeping with her. Yes, he's a bisexual, on-page bisexual, if that's any interest of you. And then in the other world, it's his best friend that died and his boyfriend is in a wheelchair because of this accident. And also for him, in the world where his boyfriend is alive, he was fine and nothing happened to him, and in the universe where his boyfriend died, he has burns all over his body, and it's just really interesting. There's a new world that appeared called Obscura. kind of in between us and in our solar system, randomly just happened. So yeah, is all this crazy time shifting stuff happening because of this new world? Or are there other things at play? We also don't know what happened at the event with the fire, and that's something that's gradually you're told more and more of the story. So yeah, I enjoyed this book. Next, I read the Saga of Darren Shan manga volume 7. Can't really say much about this. It's a series. It's the 7th book in the series. But this is a manga version of the Saga of Darren Shan, which is a sort of middle grade / YA series by Darren Shan that you should definitely read because it's awesome, and I feel like not that many people have read it. So sort your life out and read it. And in this series we follow our main character Darren, who gets turned into a half vampire and then is going about his vampire-y, half vampire-y business. And there's a freak show with loads of cool characters and his friends, and there's a war going on with the Vampanese, who are like vampires, but they kill anytime they drink some blood. They kill, whereas the vampires don't kill people. And it's just really cool, and even though all the books are about 200 pages each, just so much stuff happens and it will blow your mind, and loads of stuff happens that you wouldn't expect in the book. A lot of twists and turns. Basically, you should read it. This is my childhood. This is my childhood in manga form. Next, I read The Serpens Shadow by Rick Riordan. This is the last book in the Kane Chronicles. If you was here last year and you saw my best and worst books of 2017, you would know that the first book in this series was actually my least favourite book of the year last year. Not because it was the worst, but it was the most disappointing because I love Rick Riordan, and I gave the first book of this series 2 stars. Really wasn't a fan. But this one and the second one does get a bit better, but honestly it's definitely Rick Riordan's worst series. There are bits and bobs in here that it's like alright to read, but everything that makes a Rick Riordan series and everything that I love about Rick Riordan for some reason is just not in these books, in the Kane Chronicles. I don't know why. What happened to him when he was writing these? It's not as funny as his other books. There's not really much humour in it with the gods. This is about the Egyptian gods. It's just kind of like a bit meh. The characters are not as engaging or as enjoyable to read. The way it's written is just weird. It's written like all the events have already happened and the 2 main characters are telling us what happened, and it's just really awkward because they'll be telling you loads of stuff that's happening, and then in brackets they'll start bickering with each other on this recording, and it's just, I really don't like it. It takes you out of the story. Like they'll be telling you all this stuff, and in brackets they'll be like, oh Sadie, why are you hitting me? I'm telling you the truth. It's just, I don't like it. And also another thing that Rick Riordan is really good at is building up relationships from friendships and then it growing into more later on in the series, and relationships not being a big deal, being sort of the back burner. But in here, the romance aspect is really sort of one of the main focal points, which I really don't like, because one of the things I like about Rick Riordan is the fact that he doesn't do that. Whereas in here we have a love triangle that honestly is just weird and I don't like it. Sadie is what, 12, 13? And she's going on about these 2 boys that she likes. She likes both of them, and it's just like, you're 12. Stop it. But I mean, the series got better, but it wasn't the best. And last but not least, I reread Half Lost by Sally Green, and when I first read this book it made me cry because stuff happens and it's sad, and I thought to myself, I've already read this, so I'm probably not going to cry on the second read. I know what's going to happen. It's not going to be as upsetting. So I cried more this time. I cried several times whilst reading this book, just in here, because stuff was happening and people were talking about stuff that's going to happen later on. I'm like, no it's not, because I know what happens at the end of this book. And yeah, I was just cried at several points throughout the book, and then still cried at the end a lot. I was sitting reading the last couple of chapters just with a piece of tissue, having to dab my eyes every few seconds because I couldn't read the words. And I'm pretty sure I even said out loud, how is this making me cry so much? Why is it making me cry so much? I know what's happening, it's not that sad, but it is. And if that hasn't made you want to read this book, then just go and read it anyway. It's awesome. This series starts with Half Bad, and it's about Nathan, a main character who is half black witch, half white witch, and basically he just gets treated like shit throughout 3 books. Yeah, all the white witches are hating on him because he's got a black witch part of him, and his dad is like the most notorious black witch that's going around killing other people and stealing powers. And there's just witchy stuff and politics stuff and race stuff as well. It can definitely be used as a sort of an allegory, is that the right word? of racial tension in real life, but using it as witches, white witches and black witches. So that's pretty interesting as well. And yeah, I just love this series and I'm so glad I reread it. This year I've been loving my rereads, guys. If you like a book and you've been thinking, I can't reread books, my TBR's massive, I don't have time, just stop yourself, tell yourself to shut up and go and pick your favourite book up off the shelf. I've reread over 10 books this year and I've absolutely loved it, and my TBR is still massive and I don't care because I'm loving this. So do it. Go reread your favourite book. So yeah, there we have it. Those are the 8 books that I read in November. All of the fantasy fun times. So let me know down below what you read in November, or if you've read any of these, or if any of them sound interesting, or if you're going to pick up one of your favourite books off your shelf and reread it. Let me know down below, because I would love to be the force that lets you enjoy something that you know you love already. Do it. If this is your first video by me and you enjoy it, then please check out some of my others. I am participating in Bookmas, so I do have 2 videos now and there'll be a lot more to come. And if you continue to enjoy my videos, then please subscribe, that'd be awesome. Anyway guys, I will see you in a few days with another video. No I won't, I'll see you tomorrow. I forgot, sorry, bye.